Sexless marriage has me heartbroken. I have been with my wife for 30 years, since we were both 22 years old. She was my first and only in every sense of the word. First love, first kiss, first sexual partner. She had a string of casual relationships before me and one serious boyfriend who was the one she had broken up with before we met. I thought she was my soulmate and she said I was hers. The problem is that for almost the entirety of our relationship we have not had sex. She wanted to sleep with me very soon after meeting me, but being a virgin I was wary of her. Eventually, after a few months of going out on several dates per week, I gave in to her advances. She was really forward and had no problem talking to me about sex. At one point she told me that it was worth dating me for the sex alone. She asked me how I could be so good in bed as a virgin. We sometimes had sex 2 or 3 times per day or more even. She was always up for it. We even had sex on a pool table in a public place, just before closing time. 1 year into dating we moved in together and it was at that point that the sex started to dry up. She started turning me down, which she never had before. She gave me excuses like she was afraid we would be too loud or that we would get caught. She wouldn't have sex in a hotel anymore despite that we used to check into seedy motels just to have sex. She wouldn't have sex in the shower. She would only have sex in the morning so that she could shower afterwards. There just started being all of these restrictions. Sometimes it was just that she didn't feel like it. About a year after that, so 2 years in, the sex stopped almost completely. I think we had sex maybe 10 times in 8 years. She was always very fitness-minded and I was a pretty skinny, but not athletic, guy back then. She said that maybe if I worked out she might be more interested, so I did that. She said she enjoyed watching me work out. We did it together at her gym, but it didn't really change anything. We had sex maybe a few times that year after a complete lull of 4 years. Then she said that she felt like she needed a commitment to feel close to me. She said that it would spark her sex drive if we were married and we could stop using condoms. She was not on birth control, so that was our method. She had been on birth control with her previous boyfriend, but she had to go off of it before she met me because of a bad incident with bleeding. She said she loved the feeling of going bare and she wanted to do that with me. She said it would be better for me, too. I didn't really care too much one way or another. Anyway, she said she was always nervous about getting pregnant and it hindered her enjoyment of sex, but that once married that fear would disappear because she would know I was committed to her no matter what happened. We got married. We never had sex again after the first year of marriage. She didn't get pregnant because we weren't quite ready for a baby and I kept using condoms. So most of my marriage has been completely sexless. I am not exactly sure, but I would say that of the 30 years we have been together we probably had sex at least 1 time in only 8 of those, and what I would call a normal sex life, meaning at least once a month, in maybe only 3. It's something we have talked about and she kept giving me all kinds of reasons and excuses until she finally said that she's an asexual with childhood trauma related to sex. This was about 7 years ago. I didn't know how to process that. She said she would seek out therapy, but she never did. She said we could go to a sex therapist, but she got cold feet. Here I am now 52 years old and she told me that she's through menopause and sex is over for her now. I asked her what that means for me and she said that I can see a prostitute if I need to, but she said it in a really nasty way using language I won't repeat here. She also said she wouldn't leave me over it, but that she'd be really disappointed in me if I did it. She also hinted that if I saw someone then maybe she would, too, so that I should think about it really carefully. I don't even know how to take any of this. I am really heartbroken. I told her that. It hurts me a lot that I wasn't worth her time or effort to try to fix this problem, not to mention that it makes me feel really unattractive and completely emasculated. I also feel so very, very lonely in an emotional sense. I mean, I am not alone obviously, but I feel like the need I have to be in a romantic relationship is completely unfulfilled. She fills other needs of mine. She is a wonderful companion in other ways, but as a lover she is a complete loss. I get really angry that I gave my virginity to her and never got to experience what a normal sex life is like except for a year or 2 in my early 20s. The only thing worse than being a virgin is being involuntarily celibate for decades with no hope of ever getting laid. Sometimes I get really angry that she seduced me and lured me into this relationship with the promise of continued intimacy and a healthy sex life. I get jealous that she was able to have a vibrant sex life with plenty of men before me, so she got to scratch her itch. The thought of her old boyfriends finishing inside her, something I was never able to do, is a trigger to me. I feel like she used me to provide a safe and secure and loving environment for her, but she wasn't willing to provide that to me. I was always jealous and mistrustful, assuming if she wasn't sleeping with me maybe she would cheat, but I don't think she ever did, and spent hours and hours trying to solve this problem and wondering what was wrong with me. I bought her self-help books. I bought myself self-help books. I even went to see a psychologist for myself, which cost thousands of dollars, and in the end the advice I got was to accept how she is or leave. We talked about it again really seriously last week, and I think this is the end of my marriage because she's not going to compromise on sex. She's not interested, she says it will hurt her to do it, and that's that. She said she wishes I would just stop obsessing over sex and enjoy the life we do have. I told my therapist that and she said, "Do you enjoy the life you have? Can you live like this for the rest of your life?" I haven't decided, but I think the answer to that is, no. I can't live like this. It just kills me to have to leave the woman I love so much, but I also feel like she is either really selfish or really broken, and probably both. If she knew she had issues, she owed it to me and herself to try to communicate them and work on them with me instead of just hoping I would finally accept it and stop pestering her. She told me that knowing I can't accept her like she is also breaks her heart. She said she loved me, trusted me, and thought I'd always be there for her. She can't believe I am considering leaving her over sex, especially at my age. She said soon I won't care about it either. She said that if I am lucky I will find a younger woman to have sex with at the expense of having 3 kids fathered by someone else that I will have to raise, and if I am unlucky I will find an older menopausal woman exactly like her but without the shared history and life we built together. Sometimes I feel the urge to point out another option, which is that I will be all alone, but at least not feeling like I have been used like I do almost every time I see her these days. I am seething with so much hatred for her, which my therapist has helped me realize is really all the pain I have experienced over these years. My therapist says there's another option, which is that I find a great woman to build a new life with, but I just don't see that as very likely at my age. Most people in their 50s have so much baggage and I can't deal with that shit, ex-husbands and grown children and grandkids and elderly in-laws. I feel like if I am destined for a life of loneliness and suffering no matter what I choose. I don't know what I did in a past life to deserve this karma, but I am really sorry for it.